we're gonna spread some love around and talk about everything going on, like I said, at an international level. So without further ado, the man of the weekend, none other than our champion, Corey Ellis. Corey, welcome in. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
We're not as good as you. Let's that's obvious. But first of all, it's been a little more than 48 hours. Congratulations to you. What feelings have finally sunk in after that long plane ride, after all the elation, the jet lag, the turbulence, everything? What feelings have sunk in?
Just I'm proud to call myself a major champion and to be in the history books forever and to have my name on that trophy with some of the greatest players to ever play the game is an honor.
Everyone has said this, and this is not a secret to you or to the rest of the disc golf community. And I think this sentiment is shared with the likes of a Kelvin Heimberg. It wasn't a matter of if you'll get a major. It's really just a matter of when. And last year, in a pair of very close events, heartbreaking events, we saw you come up just short at D-Glow almost a year ago to the day. And to today anyway. And then, of course, at Maple Hill, Simon Lizotte had different plans and held you off. How sweet does it feel now? And do those previous scenarios matter?
Have you looked at those? I mean, there's memes out there, and there's things like with the what is it? Contrasting pictures that we happen to have of you in the scoring shed versus you celebrating with the trophy.
Well, let's be honest. I kind of handed it to Simon.
Okay.
I mean,
those are your words. Yeah.
Not
Okay.
to take anything away from Simon, though. He did play fantastic that last round.
I was gonna say, some people could say Anthony handed it to you.
That's also true, but
and you played very well.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's just the way the cookies crumble sometimes. It's just the way they go. It's things happen for a reason, and I feel like I had to go through those losses to be able to handle the pressure situation to come away with this win.
And to be fair, nobody hands anybody a championship like this. You have to put yourself in that position. We all know that if you go back, there are probably 10 to 12 shots through the entire weekend that you could look back on and be like, man, did I miss an opportunity there?
Well, I can think of 3 putts that cost me 4 strokes for sure.
Okay.
Were they good putts that maybe didn't stick?
Yeah, they off the center pole and straight back out.
You have the worst. On a side note, you have the worst basket luck, maybe in the entire tour. The iconic Beaver State fling moment where your disc hits the one missing weld and scoots through, and everybody's there. Hi, kitty cat. Everybody's there in disbelief. Like, you seem to. Are you a magnet for those? What's going on?
I honestly seem to have the worst luck when it comes to disc golf. Like, I'm not. A lot of people can say that, but whenever they say that, I'm like, hey, remember, I'm the guy who had the disc fall through the basket. So I'm like,
now. We had Joe Revere just a week ago, so this was already a little tangent here. But we had Joe Revere just a week ago talk about putting and baskets, and this is to, of course, no rip on any given company or basket in any capacity. However, the conversation then led to, well, is it style? Is it speed? Is it the basket itself? Is it the gauge of chain and the coating on the chain? There's a million factors, and then we have a couple hundred different PDGA approved baskets. So when you look back, and whether it's a reflection or even an annoyance that given night on a given night, what are you thinking about when a putt that you feel like maybe is good doesn't stay in? How do you process that?
I used to get upset about it, but now it's like there's nothing you can do about it. It's already out. Like, why? There's no reason to get upset about it when you can't control it. You know what I mean? Like, you threw the putt as good as you could. It hit the center and it came out.
Yeah.
Just keep doing that and they're going to stay.
Yeah. More are going to stick than not. We all know that.
Have you ever second guessed any of your own strategy in terms of the angle, the speed? Do you second guess any of that, or is it just like you said, the mentality of just keep throwing at it?
Well, I am one to adjust my speed for the distance of the putt. Like typically shorter putt, I don't putt quite as hard. But that being said, when it's windy, like it was on hole 2 of the last round, it was a pretty strong headwind. You got to spin them in there. I mean, I hit the center and it didn't go in. It's just it is what it is. But like Rick, sometimes he'll say I'm the softest putter on tour, but everyone knows, him and Gannon probably putt the hardest. So it slams them in the chain.
Yeah, that's hard. That's a hard thing to hear coming from Ricky Wysocki. Like, oh, you putt really soft. Like, no, Rick, maybe you just putt really hard.
Yeah. So going back on the experience, I guess if we backtrack even more, you show up in Europe and just kind of walk us through some of your emotions about, whether it's representing the U.S., representing you, yourself, your sponsors. Walk us through kind of the arrival to Europe in the first place.
Well, let's start before we get to Europe. Mm-hmm. So we show up to New York, and I've never left my car at an airport or parked like long time parking. I didn't expect it to cost as much as it did, and it ended up charging us twice for that, like because we adjusted our time to go a little bit earlier. So that was like a headache to figure out, and then wait for that money to come back. And Europe's expensive, man. I'm not Paul Macbeth or Ricky. I don't have millions of dollars in the bank, and I almost didn't even get to go to this tournament because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to afford the trip because it's renting a car, it's finding a place to stay, it's affording the food while you're there. It's gas is basically $8 a gallon there. And it's just, it's a lot. And to see as many people from the U.S. go over there is incredible. There was 42, I think, U.S. players, maybe more. But I remember I counted and I was like, that's almost half the field. That's like 4 times as many U.S. competitors as there's ever been in that tournament. And like that just says like how far the sport has come in the past few years that people are able to do that. It's incredible.
Now with all of that, I have to just quickly follow up and say it's awesome we're seeing that you've won. You're gonna likely return every single opportunity you ever have a chance. Do you understand how some may say, I'm still just not here yet? I mean, you yourself were just contemplating the expense of it. Can you understand how others maybe might be like, that was a cool experience, but I'm just not there financially? Could you see how that might happen or no?
Absolutely. I mean, let's be honest, it probably costs, $3 to $4 grand to go. And, if you look at how much, I'm probably one of the few people that made money there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, but the top 5 people probably actually not even that made money. And it's like, if you can afford the experience, if your sponsors are going to help pay for that, pay to get you over there, then by all means make it happen, but if you're paying out of pocket for that, like, good luck if you're scrambling, on tour to cash. It's not, it's the pressure of the moment that you're there, all that atmosphere is just incredible. It's the only place I've ever been on hole 1 and got chills, just like at USCGC. That's the only other place.
It's kind of amazing when you talk about that, because we think of all these players that are on the top level of their team, no matter, regardless of who your manufacturer is. And I think there's just kind of a thought that like, oh, these top guys, no worries for them. They're all taken care of. They've got their Tour Series discs. They're easy. They're able to travel wherever. Are you kind of saying that that's really not the case, that it is still kind of a grind for even the top level players?
I mean, it depends on your situation, I mean, I still have an apartment and 2 cars, and, just people have bills, it's life. It just depends on what you have, to, going on in your life. So I can't speak for everybody, but I can tell you for me, it's just me. It's just my income. Molly doesn't work now. And, that has been my dream, is to, have her just come with me in this year. I've made it a reality. And now as it looks like now, it's going to be like that for a while.
Even after that high five, she's going to want to travel with you.
Yeah, is she okay?
I mean, that was quite a.
Yeah. I was just so pumped, and it just kind of happened.
I don't think anyone in the world like second guesses that it did happen, but instantly everyone's like, oh no, let's hope that her hand is all right. And, hopefully cashing the check will be that much easier, even if her hand is injured, if she can help you cash or deposit it.
It was just the best, the way you were so excited, turn around, gave her a high five, and I'm sure you've seen the clip where she just looks at her hand and goes, ow.
Oh, yeah.
What a great moment, honestly. Just that whole 16 in general, what an exciting hole to be near the end. Do you've laid up on it, you've gone for it. In general, do you like that hole? Do you think it's a quality hole? I know I've heard some people say, yeah, there's OB, there should probably be a drop zone, maybe we shouldn't keep throwing, things like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I like the hole because I like the idea of the bunker rule that they put into effect, because I feel like that should be used more rather than well, it's hard to say. Like I don't like stroke and distance, but I like this just rethrow. No added stroke, because I feel like that would be better at for example, hole 12 at USCGC. I think that would make that hole better, and not feel so impossible to stick that. You would see people going for that second shot more. And the hole itself is good, though, to answer your question. I think so.
I believe Brian asked it in the post-round interview, but even more so now. Again, I know things sink in and you've processed probably some more. You've seen replays, you've heard analysts, you've heard talking heads, whether it's a podcast or just every single person that has can type on the internet. When you look at 16 and the way that it played out, could you ever envision, I know you just explained it, but could you have ever envisioned that crazy of a scenario with AB specifically? I mean, the guy that you needed to catch or to get past, I should say.
I mean, I never wish bad on anyone. AB is my friend, and I felt horrible for him to even have to be in that situation and just continue to throw until he got on the green. I'm not one to call, what I think he should have done in that position, because, anything could have happened, after we still had 2 holes to play, and things could have turned out differently on 18. That second shot when you're down there and you're going for that green is not easy, especially, you have 4,000 people watching you. And I don't know. I think that maybe he could have laid up after he threw it once out. I know, actually, I talked to Calvin the round before we played together, and he said that we both agreed, we're like, if we miss it once, then we lay up. That was me and Calvin's, both of our plans. Like, no matter what, if we go for it for birdie and we miss it, we lay up. That's just me, and I know from him personally. I don't know.
I put a lot of thought into that particular hole, what AB's situation is, and being the 4th round. Personally, I think you have to make the decision on the first throw in the 4th round where he was at. You either go for it or you lose the tournament. Because for me personally, like, you throw it and miss, you lay up, you throw it. Obviously, as you know, that second shot, the second attempt to the island, that's not a guarantee. Like, you could miss that. Most of these guys are probably not missing it, but I don't know. I think at that point, he's down a stroke, and you could argue live to fight another day, but I think once you make that determination, for the 4th round only, I'm saying. The other rounds, well, you know, you and I are laying up, Terry, but in general, like, that's tough. That's a tough decision.
The round 1 I played, my original plan in practice and everything was to go for the green every time and try to get a birdie. And my drive went long, and I went OB, and I had to re-tee. I landed inbounds, and then I threw a shot, and it landed on the green and barely scooted onto the gravel path OB. And then I just laid up, and I took a double bogey. And after that, I was like, I'm laying up that hole for the rest of the tournament until the last round. If I have to go for it, I will go for it. And that's what ended up happening.
And you felt like you had to go for it there.
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
Because you were, at that point, you were ahead of Kyle by 1 stroke. And
right, but Kyle had just stuck it.
Yes, Kyle had just stuck the island. So it would have been a tie, assuming you laid it up and made the island then. Okay.
Yes.
The more amazing shot, though, was 17. Honestly, in my opinion, both those shots that you threw on 16, I think those are relatively, quote unquote, routine shots. It's a hyzer. You executed them. It's a high level of pressure. But 17 isn't just a hyzer. That is a pinpoint accurate buzz. So within 15 feet, that is such a touchy shot.
Yeah, walk us through it.
That is like, I feel like my bread and butter buzz shot, like a hyzer flip, let it turn a little and come back. And I threw that shot a lot in practice. I only practiced a buzz shot on that in practice. I got 5 rounds in and probably threw 2 buzzes at it every single time. So 10 shots on the hole before the tournament even started. And then when warm-ups, I was particularly throwing the same shot over and over again on that every single time before practice, and just trying to dial in the right amount of hyzer flip on it. And even in my video I posted before the tournament started, I posted me throwing that exact shot and then executing it in that situation, like, was incredible. It just felt amazing.
Real quick, just the buzz that you threw, anything special, or is it a stock buzz? What kind of buzz is that?
That is a glow buzz that I had team stamped in 2018 when I first joined the team, and it's been in my bag ever since. I lost it for like a couple months at a local place here in West Virginia, and then they actually mailed it to me in Waco, and I got it back and put it right in my bag, and it's still pretty stable for considering it's been 5 years now that disc has been in my bag.
And you didn't know what was being done with it for a few months.
Yeah, I mean that's
it was just sitting in the woods somewhere.
home now where it belongs, in the bag. So
absolutely.
my follow-up to that would be specifically, what condition or scenario would it take for you not to be throwing some kind of buzz on that hole, whether, again, wind or score-wise, whatever? Is there anything that changes your mind from that play?
No, I'm
and
throwing
if so,
that shot.
what is it?
No, I'm throwing that shot every time.
Okay.
Because if my miss is, it's going to turn too much. I'm not, the buzz is kind of understable, so it's going to turn. I know it's going to turn. It's not, I never hyzered out of bounds with that buzz in practice or anything.
It's a man who knows his discs.
Well, and this is only why I ask, is I think there's a ripping headwind. It's coming at you 15 miles an hour straight into a headwind. Are you beefing up a buzz, or are you then going to some kind of slightly more stable,
I would
fairway?
Just throw a slightly more stable buzz.
Okay. All right. So that is definitely the play.
I mean,
I like the mid-range
because
that one.
Because if there's a 15-mile-an-hour headwind, I throw a more stable buzz, and it doesn't make it up there, and then I just lay up and take a 3.
Sure.
If I throw a fairway and I barely juice it too much, it's going OB.
How are you? So all this intensity of hole 16, we get it. I mean, the world everyone's mouth or jaws on the ground. They watch what just happened to AB. They saw how you answer. Kyle's obviously still right there. The walk over to 17 to then still, like you just said, throw some pretty high level shots. As you're walking over to 17, what in the world is going through your mind as you're making that walk from 16's green to 17's to 17's tee?
I was in like another place. Like I remember from once I walked up the hill to hole 15 and I threw that shot, I was in like almost like a trance, like I was a robot. Like my body just kind of took over and it was just happening. So it wasn't a whole lot of thinking going on that I can remember. I remember I wasn't worried about anything, but just sticking to my game plan. I wasn't changing anything. Once I decided I was going to throw on the island, I told myself, you've thrown the shot 1,000,000 times. There's no difference. You can do it again with your buzz. I bush noted it was 280 feet, and I was like, or I'm sorry, with your zone. I threw a zone on the upshot. The same thing on 18. My whole plan was to throw a turnover zone and flex it in bounds because it stays in the fairway the whole time. Because a lot of people were throwing like a flat to hyzer shot up the right side, and then I get hyzer back inbounds. And I just really liked throwing something that started inbounds and then would go out of bounds later if it did.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw a lot of people on 18, if they pulled that a little too far right on that backhand or caught one of the trees hyzering in for some reason, you're taking it back relatively far, and then you're shooting for, we'll say, the middle of the second shot on the way up. Very few people can probably make that from where they would go B to the green, with the exception of Eagle. I think tried it. AB could probably do that.
AB parked it from,
exactly. Very few people can make make that shot look easy like they can. So what an amazing event.
How are you when it comes to we think about the story and the drama, and of course that's what the fans want. Every golfer would say, well, I love entertaining, but I'd love to win by 5, not by 1 or 2. But how are you when you think about the way the event unfolded, especially the last 3 holes, and just what it sets up for disc golf, what it sets up for the European Open, the legacy, the major, the story behind you and the win? Does that get you excited or not? Like how does that make you feel?
It just makes me want to do it again. It's kind of like the doors open, the monkey's off my back. People have been saying, I got the win, and that doesn't mean I'm, still not hungry. I'm starving over here. So
you don't have an Elite Series yet. Come on, pal. Let's get on it. I mean, you skipped that level. Or a silver, right? You don't have a silver either.
No.
Who needs those? This man don't need no silver.
Said he's hungry.
Well, okay. He's got major.
He's got MVP to revenge. He's got at least 1 shot. I think he wants to try again.
Well, 2.
Okay.
At least D-Glow and
for sure. Exactly. Back to back there. In that sense.
You can throw a world in there, I wouldn't be upset either.
Yeah. What does it say? One of the certainly again, one of the storylines within disc golf is that now we have 3 first-time major winners over the last 3 majors. Gannon, Isaac, and you. You've been playing disc golf a long time. What does that say about where disc golf is right now?
I think it says about the competition, is fierce, to say the least. Like anybody, it could be anybody's game out there. It's hard to be consistent, and I shot 55 holes bogey free to win that tournament, and Like I've never done that. I don't think like any tournament I've ever shot bogey free like that. And it's just like that's the level of consistency. You can't bogey. Like bogeys are like double bogeys now. You know, like you get a par and it's you're like, well, I gave a stroke to somebody. You know, so everybody can birdie every hole almost.
How much of your win?
With the exception of like Ledgestone.
Yeah, hole 12, Northwood Black, hole 12.
Pretty rare. Yeah.
How much of your victory do you chalk up to your lack of OBs this past week? Because you had 2 OBs all weekend, and I believe I heard in the top 10, the next closest was like 9. I believe,
or something like that. You destroyed everybody in the OB category.
That was definitely huge. I remember the one time one of the times I threw OB. Okay, so the one time I actually threw OB, I got a birdie. The other time was a spit out on 17 and it landed and then rolled out of bounds. So
yeah, okay.
I didn't really throw that one out of bounds.
Correct. Yeah, the end result was an OB, but it didn't feel like you threw it there or deserved it.
That definitely is what did it, I would think. You know, that made up for the putts that spit out was not throwing OB.
So much talk about, of course, the gallery and the crowd. So we'll go there in a moment. But before we even get there, the course. If you haven't been there and maybe you don't recognize it on TV as much, you get done with a few of these holes and you have a very lengthy walk to get to another hole. Again, the magic of TV and live can help mask some of that. But when I was there last year, you're really segregated through these pockets of holes all around this property in the middle of a city. Does that matter to you? Is that add or take away from the event in any way? And then maybe talk about the holes themselves.
I mean, I wouldn't say it takes away from the event. As a, one, I would like to design courses in the future. I know from Johnny Sias, I can hear him talking as I was playing my practice rounds about how he would not like the flow of the walks in between holes. And that's just from what I've kind of learned from him and course design is it's got to flow well, and you got to, it's just, I wouldn't say it takes away from the tournament. The holes themselves are fantastic. My least favorite hole was 11. Yeah, mainly just because it's a poke and hope. You just throw it up and pray that you get through that tree for the most part, unless you're throwing it past the giant trees, which is an absolute crush on that hole.
That's the one with the OB pond at the very end where everybody's trying to crash around. As we saw, Eagle was able to go around. I don't know if I saw AB actually go around, but yeah,
I went around on round 2.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I could see that not being anyone's favorite hole. And I think about the FPO players. I think about watching it played last year, and I'm like, man, this hole seems like it'd be really frustrating. Yeah.
It's just kind of a luck factor that you don't want to see on a championship course. And other than that hole, I absolutely love the property. It's there's no other place like it. It got the woods, it has the open, it has everything.
Elevation as well, which is awesome. I mean, I think about, one of the criticisms as disc golf continues to evolve, one of the criticisms of, say, a USDGC is that we have the parking lot and we have some of those elements that we see at the Winthrop Arena, the baseball diamond, the parking lot, and things of that nature. And here we have a soccer field that's off to the left of 410 and some of those other things. But like you said, they also make up for it so beautifully in some of those really wooded holes that makes you think you're out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think AB even said when we were on hole 6, he was like, man, it just feels like we're out here, playing a casual round with the boys. Because, there's no was no gallery. There was just a couple people with cameras and us out there playing because, you know, they kind of make the gallery stay up at the top there. And understandably, you know, there's 4,000 people. You don't want them all crammed in the woods when those holes are pretty tight to each other.
Yeah, no, that was my follow-up. Now, as I just mentioned, speak to the gallery, the fact that this was the largest crowd you've played in front of, and quite honestly, most of our players, this is the largest live crowd that many of these players have ever played in front of in their career. What is that experience like, and how do they pull it off over there in Finland?
I think that from what I gathered, it's a public park, so they can't really stop people from coming in. I think is what I heard.
Yep.
And they try to sell like VIP passes to get you in to like sign autographs and stuff before people, you know, you don't have to wait in line as much. And yeah, that's the kind of like, that's what creates the giant galleries there is, you know, they're not selling that many tickets. But to give the Finnish people credit, they are amazing gallery. Like you could hear a pin drop when we're on the tee pad waiting to throw. It's incredible. Like the people over there are so respectful, and I'm grateful to them that they are, you know, they stand still. You know, UC's yelling at people to stop, and they just the entire crowd just freezes. You know, it's awesome. Yeah,
I think it also helps, obviously, as we know, being in the center of that city. Like, you don't need to necessarily drive a good distance. You've got a well-populated city that people can just show up. Like, it's not like Ledgestone or Deglow, where it's a 20 to 30 minute hike from a city, from a real city. I mean, Peoria, give it or take it. If it's a real city or not, I haven't decided. But if we had something like this in the middle of Boston, I think we would probably see something like that. But we've got Maple Hill, which is 45 minutes outside of Boston-ish. Is it more than that? Yeah. I just
maybe an hour.
Yeah, maybe an hour. I think that some of the discussions I've heard of people saying like, well, that's why we need to make disc golf free to watch. I don't think in the U.S. particularly that would make much of a difference unless we had something like that in a big city. If we had something like we had at San Francisco, that's one where I think it could be back when we had Glen Eagles, Terry? Is that the one?
Yeah.
I think that could be kind of cool with a free event. That could bring in a lot of people. Maybe not 4,000, but
I don't think I want to go to San Francisco personally. Just from what I heard about, you know, some crazy things happen during the final round there, with some, you know, gunshots or something.
Yeah, and some people helping themselves into some cars.
Yeah, I think
there are some of the struggles.
Probably stay clear of a city.
Yeah.
Of that.
Yeah, and it's really tough, and maybe this is a conversation we can have, Johnny and I will have after the fact. I don't know if it's the free admission. I don't know if it's, I think it's personally just more so the European crowds in general are that much more ecstatic to see, because this might be literally the one time, the only chance that they have to see you and Paul and Ricky and blah, blah, you know, all of our top players. I think that's even more so a factor about them showing up.
I couldn't help but think about that and see all those little kids that were out there, and they're, you know, with, you know, they're disc begging people, and they see Paul or they see Rick, and they're just screaming for them to get their disc signed. And I'm like, these kids think this might be their last chance they ever see these guys ever. You know, they don't know if they're going to come back. And so they, you know, I literally stood there, I think, for an hour and a half after the round and just signed as many people who would come up to me and offer to sign the disc. You know, I'm glad to sit there and sign a disc, because like I say that now, and there's going to be thousands of people coming and wanting to sign discs. But you know what? I'll stand there and sign discs for all day. I don't care.
There was a stat on the broadcast saying that I think it was 25% of kids 12 and under listed disc golf as their favorite sport in Finland, which it permeates their culture. It's really great. I mean, we're going to see, I know we've been saying it for a long time, and the President's Cup almost went their way, which we'll talk about later, but we're going to see this come to fruition in the next 10 years. You're going to see a bunch of, I'm going to call them little Anthony Barellas, but they're all Finnish. You know, it's going to be fun to watch and watch that Euro Tour grow.
I played with Holmar, he's 16. The kid is absolutely unbelievable. Like, he got 15th, I think. He tied for 15th in the tournament. He's 16 years old and got 15th at a major.
Yeah, just turned.
Like, I know Gannon like just won USCGC and he's 17. People are like, oh yeah, but you think about like
actually he took 12th. Elmar Frederiksen took 12th. So just so you know.
Oh yeah, well see, there you go.
Put some respect on his name, champ.
I mean, the kid is amazing, and I played with Sexton that same round, and he aced like right in front of us on hole 2, and like just draining putts, and I'm just like, we're in trouble.
What is Finnish for acing your face?
Yeah, the kids are only getting better, and I think it's like, as disc golfers have kids, you know, they're, you know, going to be born into disc golf and only know disc golf, just like Tiger Woods. You know, he was literally born with watching his father hit balls into a net in his garage while he's being fed baby food. Like, it's going to happen with disc golf the same way as golf, as far as that goes.
That's why Corey says, get your majors now, guys, because they're going to be a lot harder to get later.
They certainly are. And to that point, I'll call the shameless plug or not, like, I experienced that. I got the chance to go to Skellefteå last year to the Skellefteå Open, and I filmed Helmar. I got to watch him, and his brother is also pretty damn good. And I'm seeing, and I had no idea at the time that he was that age. I'm watching how composed he is. I'm watching him play. And then it wasn't until later someone, told me he was, I think, 15 at the time, maybe even 14 technically at the time. I'm like, holy shit, like, this is insane. And like that is becoming more of the norm over there. And clearly we're getting younger players here too, like you were just saying, but over there, it's a dime a dozen that we're seeing so many of these young superstars. So it is incredible to see. And it is definitely scary for sure. I'm going to give a friend of ours here in the U.S., in Wisconsin, we call Matt the Stat Parker. I'm going to give him credit for this question, and I haven't researched it. So he asked me right after you had won, he said, is Corey the first winner that wasn't on the President's Cup team? And this probably would take 5 minutes for somebody to research, and in a week, in 2 days, I haven't done that.
Probably.
If so, yeah. How does that? You meet at?
Well, I looked at that trophy, and I looked at those names for a while, and it's Dave Feldberg, Ken Climo, Jesper Lundmark, Dave Feldberg, all 5 times, and then Eagle. And I'm pretty sure every one of those names, with the year that they played, were on the President's Cup.
It would make sense.
Okay.
Those are some of the top names in our sport.
All respect to everyone on the President's Cup. They totally deserved to be in that, And Nate, when I played with him a practice round, he told me that, I was in the running to be on the team, and he gave it to Isaac because he felt, he had to respect the fact that he won the major earlier in the year. And I was like, I totally agree. I feel like he earned it over me by far with winning that. That being said, hopefully next year,
Robinson.
I was going to say,
or Macbeth.
That's a great finish. That's a great team captain right there, making sure to massage everybody's shoulders, keep everybody happy. Like, no, you'll get your time, brother. Don't worry. But this guy, don't tell him I said it. But
yeah, and I don't envy. I've run a team event here in Wisconsin. I don't envy anyone that's put in the position. You're talking about, a handful of our best players on the planet to represent a country, such a prestigious honor. And no one, if you were on the team, no one would be like, what the hell's he doing there? No one would say that either. So yeah, difficult decisions and ways to move forward. But next year, if you're not on the team, I'll show up and protest myself. You should be there for sure. But
next year it's here in the U.S. usually, correct? It'll be at
No, I don't think
Or
it's
is
been here in a while.
Really?
It used to rotate
Yeah, it
back
used
to
to go back and
USDGC,
So
and I don't think we've seen it here now in quite a few years.
I just thought maybe it was skipped because of COVID, but
No,
oh,
I don't
all right,
think
maybe
so.
not then.
I don't know. What do we know? Well,
We don't.
What comes now as a result of this besides a big old fat bonus check, hopefully from Discraft, maybe a few other sponsors, but how's the celebration going to come in terms of commemorating and honoring this? Are we gonna Discraft and others got some discs in the works? What's the plan? Because if not, let's put them on blast.
Well, there's gonna be a commemorative disc. I talked to Bob about it today, and I think it's gonna be a zone, because I feel like that disc helped me seal the deal. You know, that's what I threw on the upshot on 16. That's what I threw off the tee and the second shot on 18. You know, I countless other shots I threw the zone throughout the tournament. You know, and that's got to be what it's going to be, is a zone.
Any special zone? Plastic, glow, Z, Jawbreaker? I don't know.
Z metallic. Shout out to, hold on, let me get the disc. Where's my bag?
You have a Z glow metallic buzz, which is great.
Yeah, I have a well, I can't find one right now. I don't know where they're at. Oh wait, nope. Well, they're somewhere, but it's a Brian Earhart tour series. What the last one he had their Z metallic zones, and they're all puddle top, and the ones I throw are purple. And yeah, that's what I want. I want them to be puddle top, nice and overstable, good for sidearms, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking right now at per a quick Google search showed me a 2021 Z Metallic Brian Earhart zone. So yours will probably be in that similar capacity, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. Perfect. Makes perfect sense. And then also, speaking of checks and bonuses, especially when you got up there, what do we see in the background? You bring back.
I brought home the check. UC would not let me bring home the trophy, even though, you know, I feel like we should get to keep it for like a year or something. I think that would be cool, but you know, at least I got the check. And this awesome picture my mom had made and brought it to me today when I got home. Yes. Of me winning the, you know, shit, that's really awesome.
That's great. I like. I love those canvas pictures. By the way,
that is incredible.
Those are awesome.
So, explain to everybody maybe either the looks or the comments or you know, the conversation walking through multiple international airports with a big old champion check like that. What is any really funny stories?
Yeah, does that fit in an overhead compartment? How does that work? You have to buy its own ticket.
Actually, I was shocked that it fit perfectly, like in there, like just underneath my disc golf bag, because I'm not checking that thing. You know, never check your disc golf bag.
Experienced traveler.
Yeah, that's pro tip number 1. We agree.
Just a lot of goofy looks, and actually, I think it made getting through customs and things easier, because they're like, "What do you got there?" And I'm like, "Well, I won the European Open." You see,
yes.
You're like, "Oh, that's awesome, man! Yeah, go ahead."
This way, champ. Yeah. How were the travels? Just in general, you know, I see Aiden Scott, maybe it was today, just posting about another 26-hour delay, and I see all these posts. But like, how were travels for you and Molly?
Overall, pretty smooth. We didn't really have any delays. We flew direct from New York to Helsinki.
Okay.
And then it was a 2-hour drive from there up to the tournament, and not bad, really. I feel like we got pretty lucky with no delays, no layovers. From what I've heard, if you can fly direct, it is less likely to lose luggage, because you know, you only have one plane to put it on.
Wow.
But overall, smooth.
Good. Yeah, I guess that is a pretty straight. Most people don't have the luxury. I don't want to call it a luxury, but just the convenience maybe of being able to go from a big enough airport straight to Helsinki. And then you can decide whether you're going to, take a train or drive up to Tampere or even fly into Tampere. But yeah, it sounds like straight shot, make the travel up there. That makes things a lot easier on you. What is, because I enjoy international travel so much, as stressful as it can be, what can you share with the world as like a big takeaway? Like whether it's a pro tip or an absolute do or don't, like what's a big takeaway now that you've had this experience from an international travel perspective, good, bad, or indifferent?
Let's see. We bought some plugins,
Yep.
some like world,
Inverters.
like, fit all the different converters. Yeah, the converters. We also brought our own extension cord from home so that we had more than one plugin once we plugged it in. That was good thinking. That really helped. Be prepared for the unexpected, because you're going somewhere you've never experienced anything like it before. If it's your first time, for us, we've never left the country, and it was quite the experience, especially grocery shopping. Molly has some dietary restrictions, and trying to figure out what is what and what it has in it is pretty tough. So Google Translate doesn't always work.
No.
So, yeah.
Now, were you using it where you could just scan over, you pulled it up, and then you could just scan over the text, and then it would translate for you?
And most of the time that would work, but a lot of things in the grocery store were in Swedish, which I thought was weird. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't really understand that. But for the most part, if it didn't work, we'd just type it in, and then it would come up with something.
Sure.
Yeah, I saw something on Alden Harris's blog about Ezra Robinson, who's allergic to walnuts, and he had the waitress order for them, and they didn't realize it had walnuts on it. And he said his lips swelled up, his chest kind of felt thing, and like he was
man.
not. He's like, I had to lay down. It was 3 hours of not so much fun. If you watch the blog, he kind of talks about it real quickly. It sucks. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
So somebody on the board asks, European Open the next time it's offered? I'm not seeing it offered in 2024. They usually bounce every other year, I believe, is what's been off and on in the past. I think we've had 2 years in a row now, but next time it's available, you plan on defending your title?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going there as often as they'll have me.
All right.
That makes perfect sense. Do you have other aspirations now? You've had this taste, not only just of the success, of course, but the international travel, the play, the courses, the fans. How much does this, give you an urge to dip your toes into more or dive in headfirst into other European events? And if so, which ones?
Definitely want to play PCS. Because that place looks amazing. Not really sure. I always wanted to play Kona Piste, because that place looks awesome too. There's a freaking castle on the property.
Yeah, exactly.
And just Molly and I always wanted to, go to all these different places and just explore. Like we took a ferry to Estonia the very first day that we landed there, and went to Tallinn, and it was incredible. Like just to see a 13th century town, that's like one of the most well preserved towns in the world from that era, is unbelievable. Everyone should go and check that out if you haven't. It's awesome. It's kind of there's kind of some tourist traps and stuff like that, where you walk through the town and there's people, with restaurants open and they're yelling at you, trying to get you to come and eat or whatever. But other than that, if you're just there looking at the architecture and all that and we went up on the wall and went through and walked across, and you could see over the rooftops and stuff. That was awesome.
Yeah, Tallinn is on a very short list of new places I still need to get to, for sure. You hear so much. And of course, the likes of, you know, Kristen and Silver and Albert and Katie and all of them putting Estonia on the map that much more, you know, within European disc golf, obviously in the last few years hasn't probably hurt their tourism industry when it comes to disc golfers wanting to get over there. And I'm on that list. So that's awesome.
To be clear, I just found it on the 2024 on the PDGA site. They do list the 2024 European Open. It is there. The first Google search I did didn't show it. It showed a bunch of other majors, but it is happening next July.
Yep,
so.
The 17th through the 21st. So essentially the same.
Book your tickets now, weekend. Corey.
Yeah.
I will be there.
Yes, you will. You'll be on that
I had
Champions.
a question, that I didn't think of until like later on after I won and somebody asked me. Does someone know if a winner, like I probably just text Paul and ask him, is it like USCGC where if you win, do you get invited back forever?
I don't know if the European Open has distinct qualifiers like year over. I don't think Paul's ever had to think about that. Honestly, come on. Like,
well, that's true.
Well, let's do a super quick gurgle search. Wow,
gurgle search. Wow. That's a different search engine.
Qualifying, it says after the discussions, they've decided that qualifying will change to ratings based to the qualifying tournament. Full qualification details. Let me click on here. Let's see if we can get to. Now again, this is for this year, so there's obviously always the chance that something can get altered. Qualification details. The top 5 MPO and the winner of the FPO division in these qualifying tournaments will receive, that's for other events.
Yeah, those for other events.
All players, special invitations, past winners of the European Open tournaments. And then it went on to show Macbeth, Felberg, Climo, Junmark, and
Jesper.
Jesper Lundmark. Sorry, I called him Junmark.
I know you
and McMahon. So it shows them.
So your name's going to be added to that list, hopefully.
Yeah, and then it says the top 10 MPO and top FPO of the previous year were also invited. Then it talks about UDisc World Ranking, and then special invites, and then special qualifying events.
I think they got you covered.
But right now, if they keep with what they have here, you're in a pretty good position.
Sweet.
So
Go back every time I can.
There you go. That makes perfect sense. All right. Well, we know you've had insane travels and some of the highest of highs and hopefully not too many lows in the last few days, but now's a good time. If you could shout out any supporters, sponsors, places people can find you, support you, follow your journey, all of those types of things. The stage is yours to give all those plugs.
I just want to thank my sponsors for making it even possible and believing in me that I could do this, and there has been many people in my life, especially around here, locally, that, growing up, trying to become a professional disc golfer, always told me, you need to give up and get a real job. And, there's been many times I had no money, and went and played a tournament just to make some money. And, it's been a long way, and there's still a long way to go, and just thank you to everyone who has supported me through everything and who continue to support me. And thank you guys for having me on here,
Whenever you want it. Now that you're a major winner, we give you the secret phone. So whenever you want to call in, you just let us know.
You're like, I took 4th at this C tier, but I want to talk about something. We'll take you. We'll take
No. So Facebook, Instagram, Chain Antagonist. Yeah.
All right. Of course.
And TeamDiscraft.com if they want to purchase your plastic.
TeamDiscraft.com. Yeah, I have links to all my sponsors that, they got the shirt, I got the hats, they're coming. I got awesome buzzes that are, right here. You can go and buy these. They're really good. They fly just exactly like the one I threw on 17. If you want that disc, zones are coming. There's still putters. There's still horses everywhere. Whale sacks, EDO, squatch bags. Everybody, help me out here.
I have a quick question. Maybe you don't know the answer to this because it's relatively soon. Business question, I guess. You see a general level of activity on your page. Do you see that spike this weekend after you won Major? Does like someone call you and be like, dude, your stuff is selling now like hotcakes? Or
Yeah, actually, Bob said my stuff on Sunday alone like sold really well.
okay,
Like,
great.
yeah,
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That you know, wins like that also do translate into additional sales. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I think I went up like 2,000 followers on Instagram just on that one day. So it's crazy what it does, man. Hopefully it just keeps happening and keeps going up, and just try to, you know, be myself, and hopefully people like me for that. I don't know.
Well, I'll close it out by saying, Corey, you know, of course, right, it's so deserving, everything that has come your way, you know, the journeys, the struggles, the triumphs, the mini triumphs. And I've been there to witness. I was in the booth for Maple Hill. I was standing there. You graciously gave an incredible interview after coming up short to Calvin at D-Glow last year. I've watched you persevere. I've watched, you know, you overcome some personal struggles and challenges, and I just can't say enough how amazing it's been to watch you grow as a person, as a golfer, as a human. I'm so happy for you and Molly, and happy to watch you take this down. And it's just probably a small step in your career. It's a big step, but one of many that I think we're going to continue to see from you. And I think the world of you and everything that you've done. And we wish nothing but the best for you, man. It's been incredible.
I don't know if I need to apologize or not that I was partially responsible for the Maple Hill shot of you in the cabin. If you listen to the footage, you can literally hear me talking to the cameraman saying, you either need to get in there closer or back away. And it's...
I was like, when I looked up actually and saw the camera, I was like, of course they're looking at me.
Yeah.
It was such
for the
an
record, for the record, I was not crying. I did cry after D-Glow, though. I was pretty upset after D-Glow.
Well,
because that was the first time I'd like tasted it, you know. I was like right there. But Maple Hill, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you know, like it's literally in the palm of your hand and you throw it on the green and you win. Like, that's it. You have one shot. Throw it on there.
And I you know, not to pat media on the back too much because I think we get enough of that, but I truly think that it's shots like that, which some people thought was a little intrusive, that make the shots of you winning afterwards that much more relatable, that much more likable, and things like that. Being able to see your suffering makes it that much better.
I want to make a specific shout out. Let me find it real quick. It was the MDG Media on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
They made an incredible video of me. It has like 3,500 likes already, and it was on Sunday they posted it, and it's of me and Molly and me winning with this background, and the way that it's edited and shot with the light coming through, it's incredible. And I just want to shout out those guys and say thank you for doing that. That's an awesome memory that we will cherish forever.
Yeah, they did a great job, and I noticed that the perfect spot where the sun was right between you two, and I was like, that's just excellent. Great cinematography. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was. I saw that exact same post. I'm pretty sure I liked it. If not, I'm still going to. It was incredible and so deserving of everything that you guys experienced and everything that you went through, and the triumph that ultimately was at your feet for the weekend. So, Corey,
before I go, one more thing. I want to shout out to those guys on the card and just say, you know, they are incredible friends and competitors, because they were genuinely happy for me winning. And, you know, that's awesome. You know, Kyle, we hung out afterwards at the after party and went out to eat, and we talked about it. And, you know, he's such a good kid, and he said if he didn't win, he wanted whoever won it to change their lives. And him and Cynthia were like really happy for me. And that meant a lot, you know.
Well, things like that can be said because of the character and the human that you are. And I think some people might be able to float, you know, a line like that around and may or may not mean it. But when we see your character and we see how you persevere, we see everything that you've been through, it's easy for all of us in the disc golf community to root for you. And I just can't say it enough. That's a testament to you and your character. and we're Johnny V and I are right there in that same camp. So
100%.
it's been incredible, man. So stoked for you. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to Kristen on the other side. We'll talk more about European Open, other things. There's other stuff that happened too. But congratulations to the both of you. Again, a deserving champion. And what do you know? Could be a few weeks, and we might have to have you back because you're claiming more titles out there on
we'll
live
see.
disc golf. All right. Well, we love you, buddy. Congrats again. Everyone, that's Corey Ellis, your champion at the European Open. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll catch you a little later, buddy.
See you guys.
Have a good one.
Corey.